Hey guys, it's Stacy here. Welcome to my channel, Life's a Project, where I like to share my everyday life projects with you. So today I'm really excited to start my winter sowing, and I thought it'd be really fun kind of share that process with you. So winter sowing is a specific method of starting seeds in a container and placing those containers outside during the winter, during the snow, during freezing temperatures, and those seeds will germinate and grow into seedlings, and those seedlings you'll be able to transplant them out into your garden when it's time in your area. So pretty much you're getting a jump start on the growing season by starting those seeds early, growing some seedlings, and you're not having to grow them indoors underneath grow lights. So for this method, you're going to need plastic containers. Now I have several of these water bottle size containers, and you can also use larger containers, 1 to 2 liter size bottles, water jugs, also milk jugs. Whatever you use, it needs to be clear so that light can pass through from the sun to get to the seedling to get to the seed. And then you're going to need something to make drainage holes in those containers, so you can use a drill, scissors, or a utility knife. And then you're going to need some potting mix or container mix. You don't have to use a seed starting mix. Potting mix is fine. I've already pre-moistened some in this container and then just kind of mixed it around to make sure everything was really moist. And then you'll need some type of labeling system. I'm just using a popsicle stick and a black Sharpie marker so that I'll be able to write down what I'm growing in each container. And then you're going to need some really strong tape. I just have a roll of some duct tape here. And then of course you're going to need your seeds that you want to start using the winter sowing method. So now I'm going to show you how I get my container ready for planting. So first I just want to remove this label. I'm not going to need it. Now every container, pretty much big or small, you're going to do this exact same process. So first you want to think about how much potting mix you're going to need in each container, and then you can just come up a little bit and then make your cut. You want to make sure that your little seedling roots have plenty of soil to grow in, and then you're not going to cut it all the way through. You want to leave a little bit of plastic in the back, just a small portion, to act as a hinge to keep the top and the bottom together. Now the next step is to make drainage holes on the bottom. Now because this bottle is made of a thin plastic, it's easy just to use a pair of scissors, make a few slits cut in the bottom. Now if you're using a stronger container with thicker plastic, you may have to use a drill or utility knife. So that's pretty much all there is to it. So now this container is ready for planting. So the first seeds that I want to sow in here are these kale seeds. These are Blue Vates kale. I grew them last year. They were fantastic. I have a few seeds out here ready to go, and my plant tags are already made out. And now all I need to do is just add some potting mix to my container. Now I just want to add about 3 inches or so, enough for my little seedling roots to grow in here and be happy. Now because this container is small, it's not a large milk jug or water jug size, I only can grow pretty much 1 seedling in this container. So now I'm planting at least 2 to 3 seeds in this container because I want to make sure that I at least have 1 that germinates. If more germinates, I can always thin them out later on, no big deal. Now I'm just sprinkling a little bit of soil on the top, just enough to cover the seed. And you always want to plant your seed based on the instructions that are given on the seed packet. Now I'm just placing my popsicle stick, my garden marker inside, and then I'll take some duct tape, and then I just want to tape the container closed again. So where I cut it, I just want to tape it back shut. So now I pretty much have made a little mini greenhouse for my seed to germinate in and for my little seedling to grow. So now this container is ready to go outside during the winter time without the lid. You can see the top is open And that is how the little seedling or the seed is going to get its moisture. Rain and snow will be able to enter the top, and that will allow the plant to get the moisture it needs to be happy. So guys, here they are all planted up. They're ready to go outside. Now, one of the biggest mistakes you can make when doing this method is sowing too many seeds in each container. You'll have too many seedlings growing in such a small space. So when you have too many seedlings growing in such a small container, it'll really be a nightmare when it comes to transplanting these and removing them from this container and transplanting them out into the garden space. So now these are ready to go outside. So I want to choose a place that is a sunny location, not in the shade or not covered. And you also wouldn't want them in a covered location because you want them to receive the moisture they need. So they'll get their moisture from the rain, from the snow. Also, you would want them in a safe location, protected from the wind so they don't get knocked over, blown over. So what I plan to do, and just to show you as an example here, I've kind of nestled these bottles down in this larger container. So I can take these bottles and place them outdoors in my kind of raised beds in my containers, and those sides of the container should protect the bottles. So it's January. I live in zone 6 here in Kentucky, and there's so many different seeds that you can start in January, February. Now I'm starting things like cosmos, straw flowers, snapdragons, carnations, pansies, Canterbury bells, and the kale that I showed you. So all of these are pretty much a perennial type of plant, or a plant that can take the colder temperatures like kale. So the only annual here is these cosmos that I'll be starting, and really is just as an experiment. And that is what's so fun about this method. Go ahead, put seeds in a container, see what happens. Later on though, in March and April, I'm going to start things like tomatoes, peppers, basil, zucchini, those things that I know for sure cannot take freezing temperatures, cannot take a frost or a freeze. It would kill them. So some of those more tender plants I want to start at a later time. Now there are many advantages to winter sowing as opposed to seed starting indoors. Number one, when you're winter sowing, you don't have to have grow lights or purchase a grow light system. Number two, you don't have to have the space in your house for seed starting for the grow lights and all of your seedlings because they'll be growing outside. Number three, you don't have to water your plants. When they're outside, they should get the rain and the snow for their moisture. Now, if you live in a really dry area, you may need to check your seedlings to make sure the soil is not drying out. Then you may have to give them some water if necessary. Number four, hardening them off. You don't have to harden them off because they've been growing outdoors as opposed to plants growing inside underneath grow lights. They're not used to the sun, the outdoor temperatures, the weather, the wind. So you have to go through a hardening off process, which can be a little bit of a pain. And guys, really quickly, I wanted to share with you, you may have noticed earlier, I had a bunch of numbers on my tags, and I didn't want you to think, what in the world is she doing? So what I've done here is just kind of a method for myself not to have to write Snapdragon 13 times. I just wrote it one time, put it on the tag down here on the left. The rest I just wrote number 1. So I have a little notebook as well saying that snapdragons are number 1, I made straw flowers number 2, carnations number 3, so on and so forth. So it really is just a way to not have to write the plant name over and over again. It's much easier to write a number. So I also wrote down today's date as well in my notebook so I know when I started these seeds, and that keeps me from having to write down today's date on all of my plant tags. So guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you give this winter sowing method a try. If you have any questions or comments, place those down in the comment section below. And I hope you will subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram because I would love to give you updates on how this project is going, how it turns out later on. So I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.